Welcome to Chaotically Nerdy, a podcast made by nerds for nerds. This podcast is made by adults, for adults, and for children with bad parents. Adult language will be used, and adult situations may arise. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Chaotically Nerdy. On this week, it's me, Tyler.
And me, Jared.
And me, Ethan.
And me, Ashley, and studio dog, Sadie.
Studio dog.
Is she eating the carpet? Again.
I don't know.
There ain't a whole lot of carpet there to eat. I mean, there's some fuzz you can get, I guess.
On the floor she's eating, and she's like, it makes me sick, but I'm going to eat it anyway.
She's like, yeah, I love the way it tastes.
She's
Not
also
really,
really
but I'm just going to keep
That's
doing it.
fucking dogs. They
She's-
just do that. They're like, I'm going to eat some shit that's going to make me throw up.
She's really hungry. So I've been making basically 1 liter water bottles stuffed with treats and food that she's been eating out of, and she didn't get her water bottle this morning, so she didn't probably eat this morning.
That's what I don't get about people making food for their dogs all the time. Like, they make food, like, in a skillet for dogs.
Yeah.
And I don't get it because, like, dogs pick up things in their mouth to find out what it is.
Yeah.
Like, is that shit? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like, after we killed a deer and we was like gutting, and like not gutting it because we did that in the field, but like cutting off some of the fat and stuff. You just throw it out there. The dog was eating it. Like it was just like, fuck yeah. And
Well,
then
that's a lot of what they eat off of
Yeah.
the things that they kill is the fat and guts.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just
because that's
so-
where all the nutrition and energy's at.
I said flavor. All the flavors.
It's where a lot of flavor is.
Have you ever had really good fucking backstrap, though? Because shut the fuck up. Backstrap is really good. I'll
And
fight
the dog's
people.
like, have you ever had really good small intestine? It's chewy.
Have you ever had really good cat shit?
That's what Sonny did the other
Cream
day.
out your
Yeah.
ways. Gross.
So this week we're going to talk about PC building in 2025.
Sure.
Do it now, not
Do it
next
now
year.
before it's too late.
Do it now before
Do
the
it.
tariffs come back.
As quickly as possible,
Yeah.
because I don't think anybody in America makes chips.
Or before China's
Well-
economy collapses.
Sure do.
We were gonna. Probably not no more.
Probably gonna have to now if you want to buy anything.
Well.
So essentially, I just have some notes about stuff that I've
Some
seen over the course of the year.
Very old notes.
Yeah, some of them are very old. Some of them are still relevant.
Sure. Yeah.
Instead of I just have to modify some of them. So,
Sure,
like
yeah.
the first note is the Super Series cards, because a lot of times they put out like a follow up. So, say the 4080
Yeah.
releases, they then follow that up
like-
a year later and do the 4080 Super.
Well, the supers depend on what generation you're talking about, because some of them, they literally just added VRAM.
Yeah.
More
Used to-
VRAM.
Well, yeah, and it was like, what was it, the 4070s?
Mm-hmm.
I think they were originally like 8 gigs of VRAM or 10 gigs.
12.
No, they got up to 12.
Oh, we're talking about the original ones.
Yes, the
okay.
original. And then everybody was like, what the fuck? This is not enough VRAM. So they were like, sorry, new 4070s with 12 VRAM.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, instead of talking about the Super Series, because that's not important now, we can talk about the 50 Series. They're not
That
out
aren't.
as of right now.
And they're going to cost you an arm and a leg.
They are going to cost you an arm and a leg. Probably even more than
Yeah.
what we expect.
It would be normally an arm or a leg.
Now it's going to be
And now it's
both.
going to be both.
And
your
probably
firstborn.
some fingers on your right hand.
Yeah.
And your firstborn.
Yeah. But everything I've seen numbers wise, I think was like an 8 to 13% boost
Yeah. And just only
from the previous version.
like 150 watt extra.
Yeah.
More power.
150 watt extra and $3,000 more dollars. Why wouldn't you build one?
I believe that I seen the power draw for, I don't even know which one, but it was like 600 watts for just a graphics.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Just what you used to be able to just, that was your entire
Yeah.
power budget for a PC.
I have a 850 watt power supply in mine.
You'll have to go to like 1200.
1800.
Yeah.
That's what I got in mine.
1200?
Is a 1200.
Yeah.
Just to kind of give myself
A wiggle room.
a level of breathing room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, you're not overtaxing it, so it's going to last longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's like I don't need the 850. I think I could have got away with a 750, maybe even 650.
Yeah,
But I wanted
my
to
my original PC was the 650.
Yeah.
I think I have a 750 for my computer for Philip.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
I think it's a 750.
Yeah. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't.
So realistically, if you're going to buy, right now is probably the best time to buy.
Yeah, as soon as this episode comes out.
Yeah. If you haven't already.
Yeah.
Actually, before this episode,
Yeah, it's
comes
actually
out,
was like
follow our advice now
when we're recording this.
Yeah.
when you haven't heard it yet.
Yeah,
So if
go back 4 seconds.
December. Today's date is December 7th, so get on that shit.
Yeah, realistically, probably should have done it even like November.
Maybe
Yeah.
this episode should come out first, just in case.
just real fast. I mean, we could.
Yeah.
I could
He
change
can-
some editing around.
He can wiggle some.
Why?
shit in.
Why are we saying that though? Why are we saying before next year?
Well, because El Presidente Trump's going to put taxes on everything from China,
Yes.
which is where 98% of all PC components are
Yes.
from.
Yes.
Yes.
And so therefore they're going to be higher.
Yep.
I'm not saying whether that's morally wrong or right. It's just how it is
It's
going
go-
to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fact.
Because we don't have American made GPU manufacturers.
Which is
Well,
so stupid.
It's not that we don't have the superconductor manufacturing in the U.S.
Which is
Yeah.
also
Yes.
so stupid because we like push that all off to somewhere else because we
cheaper.
used to make them.
It's cheaper.
It is cheaper.
cheaper, so therefore the CEOs can make millions. And preferably not get
could-
shot in the head.
Yeah.
I saw a funny meme about that the other day, and it was a picture of like the CEO, and it was like, "Well, I hope whatever hospital they took him to is a network."
In network, yeah, that'd be.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh shit,
Oh, that was Marky Mark.
that was Mark." Yeah, shout out to my brother.
So, and realistically, if you're waiting on the 50 series card, don't.
It's too late.
Like, it's-
Well, the also like the performance margin is not high.
yeah,
we
for
also-
the price. Like it's
I mean, technically it is, but it's also you're talking about performance that you won't need for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the performance difference. So if you want to wait to see if the price goes down again once they're out,
Well, it depends. If all they need is for NVIDIA to fuck up the launch like they did with the
Yeah.
40 series,
Yeah.
and then they get really reasonably cheaper.
otherwise you just like either do it now or wait
Yeah.
because the performance difference between this and the 4000
Whatever you do,
is not good.
don't rent a PC from NZXT
Yes.
Oh God.
because they really will take you for an arm and a leg.
Yeah, that's true. Oh. So, realistically though, graphics wise, you'd be fine with you have a 4080 Super. And that's max
That's as much as I was willing to spend on a graphics card.
Yeah, but you're going to be set for
Yeah.
years.
I also didn't need to
Years.
spend an extra $1,500 on a 4090
right.
Yeah.
when you're going to get, I don't know, 8% more.
There's really only one place for where you're going to be spending that much, and that's when your company is buying it for you because you're doing like CAD work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some sort of
3D rendering
Rendering.
softwares.
Yeah.
Like that's really the only place where you want it so that it works smoothly so you can use it properly and get your job done.
And even
you're
then-
not buying it, your company should be buying it.
and even then they might use like Titan cards or like Quattros or something like.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they might use like.
Basically, you're just working on a server,
Yeah.
essentially. That has everything allocated to it,
Yeah.
essentially.
I personally want to buy a 4080 Super, but I also like the 1440. Like, I want to stay at 1440.
Yeah.
4K, you can run it with a 4080 Super, no problem.
Yes.
I prefer 1440 with higher frame rates. That's just my personal preference. I don't care that much about 4K.
Yeah, but on these new ones, you can run 4K at high frame rates.
Can.
Yeah.
But,
But you also have
will
to
last
have
me
like
longer.
your computer in like an actual freezer.
but that's the
used
thing,
to-
too, is it will last me longer if you stay at 1440.
You used
Sure.
to put your tower in front of an AC unit.
Well, yeah, because I'm running the crap out of it, and it's a 2070 Super.
Gotta squeeze all that juicy can out of it.
I'm squeezing all of it. It's dry right now.
You know,
Oh,
I need
she's
to.
dry.
I need to get Space Marines just to see what it does.
Don't
yeah, you
worry.
should. Just
Not
to
to
see
play
how
it.
it runs.
Not to play it.
Tyler needs less than 4 minutes, and she
I
won't
won't,
be
I
dry
won't
anymore.
play it, Tyler. But I'll just be like, yeah,
Not even enough time to get
Just
wet.
run it.
yeah, just to see.
It's not. Best part is he heard none of that.
No, I heard something about 4 minutes. I didn't hear most of it. So the AMD graphics cards, when I wrote this, they were just starting to release the whole series of graphics cards. They've been pretty successful.
Yes, they've been they've definitely like gotten
as AMD do.
Yeah.
As I said, NVIDIA kind of fucked up the 4000 series launch, which gave AMD like a perfect wiggle room to
What
release.
do you mean they got fucked up?
Yeah, it is. It happens.
You mean the powerhouse that hasn't had to really worry about fucked up?
Yeah. You mean the puddle that used to be my computer? In the fire that is now my home?
The only thing is that they can't compete with is a 4090. Like they do not have.
There's not a lot of reason to.
Yeah, and they just don't have the architecture to it, I don't think, because like they're pushing theirs to the max and they can get to like a 4080 Super for roughly the same price.
Well, there's a lot of people out there that buy stuff for the computer, and they overbuy.
Yeah,
They buy stuff that they're never going to use.
Roger.
They're like shoving like
Roger.
128 gigabytes of RAM into their computer. For what reason?
I thought about it.
Yeah, but for what reason?
Ethan, there's 4 DIMM slots. They should all be full.
But for what
There is
reason?
no
There's
real
no reason.
legitimate
There's
reason.
there's
Gotta catch
no
'em all.
game out there that's going to use over
32, even
32.
That, even that you can get with 16 for most everything.
Yeah, you can get by. And there's some games that are poorly optimized
Yeah.
that you're going to need the 32 on your computer, but it's only using probably up to 24, 25 legitimately.
Just to give you some headroom.
Right. And
With DDR5 though, it's pretty much you're going to either have 32, 64, or like 128.
yeah, but you don't need
There's
to
also-
run 8 instances of Space Marine on your computer at one time.
I'm saying that's good. That's how they like. That's the most popular.
DDR5 has some weird ones too, because I've seen some like you could buy 48 gigs, 224
yeah,
sticks,
yeah.
and that you don't. I'm not used to seeing. I guess is a
it's
better
a
way.
little odd.
Speaking of running
configuration.
a whole bunch of instances of something on a computer, at one point your computer decided that I placed something down on the keyboard and it decided that it was going to open approximately 73 instances of World of Warcraft.
Oh God. Did you,
It's funny it's not updated.
It was. I was updating it because I was updating Heroes of the Storm. And it opened up 73 of them. And then it was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And it froze completely. And I was like,
kill myself.
go to sleep, sweet prince. Go to sleep.
See what I did? Is it kill myself?
Please don't. Please don't. Please don't do that to my
I
computer.
didn't mean to.
It's an accident.
So my next
was.
point is the EK Tech water block. So what that is it's a nickel. I had to look it up because it's been a while. It's a nickel like based water block that can get the CPU to sub-ambient temperatures. Most CPU coolers, like liquid CPU coolers, can't do that.
How much are those?
This one in particular that I looked up is almost $400.
Yeah, for a water block.
It shows that it's on sale right now. It's normally $579.99, but it's on sale.
$600.
You ever ran your PC at over 80 degrees Celsius for a continual period? It might be worth it.
It's
I have.
on sale for $371.19, but it's also not available right now. It says out of stock.
Yeah.
Expected date of availability is December 6, 2024.
That was yesterday.
I'm assuming it didn't show up.
I would say that was yesterday.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, it uses
Expected delivery date was in the past.
it uses nickel to
4
get
seconds.
that sub-ambient temperatures. 4 seconds. Fuck. Idiots.
God.
Now, this is just a question. What is our go-to brands now that EVGA dropped GPUs?
I picked, since I'm the one that built the most recent computer, I picked a Gigabyte. No. Yes. No, I'm sorry. That's my motherboard. PNY. That's what I had. I chose
Yeah, those
my motherboard because, got to get the synergies.
those two are good options.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I was thinking, I don't know why I was thinking of power supply for some reason, even though I know that I wrote GPUs.
That's a PSU.
Yeah.
Lots of acronyms.
If you're going for like synergy with
can't
your
read.
motherboard,
Dyslexic.
I just don't do
Stupid fuck.
Aces. They run really well, but if you ever want to do anything in the BIOS, you might as well go fuck yourself.
There's a lot. There's lots. Like if you're on NVIDIA, like Gigabyte, fucking PMY.
Yeah.
It's another one that's still around. That's not MSI.
MSI.
I'm trying
Please
to
do
think.
not do MSI.
I'm trying to think. That was what my no, my was my 2060 CBGA.
Buying your computer parts from fucking Temu.
I'm trying to think.
There's Asus,
Discount wave.
Yeah, MSI is that.
Zotac.
Zotac, yeah, that's the other big one.
I know everybody, like so many people online love MSI. I've never had any good experiences with MSI.
I had one MSI.
I
It was a
actively
laptop.
avoid MSI because of you. Having such a bad experience has caused me to avoid it.
I've had 3 major bad experiences with that MSI. So
The MSI laptop that I had wasn't so bad, but it was the laptop. It wasn't.
Yeah,
they put it all together as
Yeah.
one, so it's going to come out.
Yeah.
and then AMD is like Power Color, Red Devil. There's not as many manufacturers for AMD graphics card because they're not as popular.
Yeah,
I don't think
is
Intel has any that are not Intel. I don't think
Yeah, they don't. I think
It's
they're
just- there's no
specifically made
board
theirs.
partners. I don't think I know of.
Yeah.
But I guess something else we can talk about. I don't know if it's on here. I think, but no.
I think
I
I,
don't
wrote it
remember
on
it.
there somewhere.
I don't remember if there are any. I don't think so.
Peripheral brands, best, worst, mediocre.
Nah, that's not. That's something different.
Well, like literally, like
Well,
the
fuck me.
second
I
series
was
of
trying to help.
Intel GPUs just came out.
Oh,
the,
did it?
The B series, and they're actually pretty decent.
Really?
For like
don't know.
$250, you can get the equivalent of
reading.
a 4060. So like a $50 to $100 discount.
DDR5. You're the only one here that has it, I believe. Have you had any issues with it?
No,
No.
I mean that's also it's been over. It's probably been
It's
almost
been
2
almost
years.
2 years at this point.
I helped. I didn't buy it, but I helped someone
Build with it.
No, I didn't build it. I helped them make a list with the DDR5. It's been working great for
Yeah,
them.
They, by now they have all the kinks worked out pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like that
That's
was
what we were talking about on the last one
yeah.
we made.
It's just like wait a little bit for all the kinks to get worked out.
and then go ahead and buy it.
There's no use to be on the bleeding edge of
There's always people out there who are going to be on the
Platform
bleeding edge
updates.
finding the problems.
Yeah.
Don't be that person.
Yeah.
You don't have to be that person. You can if you want, but you don't have to be that person. Just wait a little bit. 6 months is usually as long as it usually takes for them to really work out the kinks on those
Yeah.
things. So
That's-
we're in that time frame now. So
Yeah.
you go ahead.
Yeah. GPU problems and melting is more so. Are they? I'm assuming that's fixed entirely by this point.
I mean,
Until the next set comes out.
Exactly.
kind of. They have workarounds. I wouldn't say it's fixed.
Okay. That
The
was more
problem-
so my question. Was it
Yeah.
still you had to do the workaround, or was it
It's
still
basically
just,
like
As
either-
far as I know, the problem isn't the GPUs themselves so much
the
as it
connector.
is the
Connection.
programs using it and the connections.
the connection is very finicky. It's
Yeah.
very finicky.
and then the programs they use sometimes improperly utilize the system without telling it, and then sometimes the like firmware or whatever doesn't properly trigger the cooling.
Gotcha.
But they usually work out those kinks before they release
Well,
them.
I think what you're talking about is like the power draw. Will like
Yeah.
that's usually on your PSU if like you
Yeah.
don't have your if you don't have
well,
the,
yes, talking about that, yes.
yeah, if you don't have the 12-volt high power connector, which is what they all use, if you're instead using an extra like a pigtail of 3 EPS connectors or 8-pin connectors.
Well,
I think so.
the problem
Yeah.
is just when you put a new game or a new program in, just be aware of the limitations
yeah,
of what you're using and don't like you can kind of stretch it a little bit, but don't try to over push it. Like be aware of your temperatures there's free programs out there to check your temperatures on all of your parts basically that you need it.
And actually, even if you buy, Corsair has a lot of cooling blocks.
Yeah.
If you use Corsair, they have their own that you can monitor
Yeah.
everything.
IQ.
Yeah.
But there's other
It's
ones
not
out there
terrible.
that are
Not great.
free if you're not using Corsair.
Yeah.
I also don't like Corsair's just like an expensive brand usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like a higher end.
Well, Noctua is fantastic. And
Didn't say it's always
expensive.
bad. It's just like
Yeah.
Corsair is just like
Yeah. I bought that cooler block.
yeah.
and that's why I have and I have a mouse, so I have IQ.
Yeah.
And I use that, and I actually use that. It's compatible with Elgato Stream Deck, and so I have programmed my CPU and my GPU temps on my. I don't have a Stream Deck, but I'm using an old phone as a Stream Deck and have those on there, so I don't have to keep the application pulled up on my other screen and everything else. It's pretty handy.
It smells like cabbage.
You smell like cabbage.
It smells like
Oh God, it does.
smells like cabbage.
It's like rotten cabbage and
Real bad.
bad hamburger.
Bad Sadie. No fart.
That's what we used to tell you all the time. Bad Jarrett, no fart.
It's still not as bad as Tim.
No.
Yeah, that's true. The price of storage expected to go up. I wrote this probably a year ago. Has it went up that you've really noticed?
No, it's went down.
Has it? Okay.
Yep.
Everything. Okay, certain things. SSDs are actually going up because they're now falling out of favor. They're not making as many because NVMEs are just so much more popular.
They're convenient and they're handy. They're easy to replace.
Used to be SSDs were cheaper. Now it's about the same.
Gotcha.
So it's like per gigabyte, you're going to pay about the same. And if you're going to do that, you might as well use NVMe.
Gotcha.
I don't know about prices going up. They went up for a little bit at the beginning of the year, but that was about it.
Then I wrote down r/build a PC problems.
It just sounds like Reddit problems to me. But
It is.
I
It's
don't know.
mostly just Reddit problems.
I don't know what the problems were, but it's probably
People-
just being on Reddit.
I've seen whenever I get on there and I see people like specifically build a PC for me is one of the subreddits I've been on. And whenever I'm looking at what they give, they will put the fucking cheapest power supply. Like it's like a brand building it for somebody. You know how they'll pick like the cheapest power supply, cheapest motherboard, but then they'll pick the most expensive graphics card and the most expensive CPU.
I think that's generally just like on those, they just try to give like max performance for least amount of dollars.
I don't even mean that. I mean like somebody puts a budget and they say
like you have $1,000 budget. They're going to try to give them as much GPU and CPU they can out of that budget generally.
yes, but what I'm saying is that say they pick a 4080 Super and you've got your Gigabyte, you've got Asus, you've got MSI, you've got all these
Then
other
they
brands.
plug it into like a really old or a bad brand
Yeah, but
of like a motherboard.
like right now, I just looked. A Gigabyte 4080 Super is $1,500.
Wrong, but okay.
No, I literally just looked. 4080 Super 15. It was $14.99.
Well, you can find them for.
And they pick a
Well, I'm just going off of Amazon. But they pick that over a 4080 Super that is.
Okay, sure, yeah. I understand what you're saying. There.
That's what I'm saying.
I
Is that
thought-
they
okay.
pick, and instead of skimping and switching to a different brand that is slightly cheaper, but essentially the same card,
Not even slightly. It's like my PMY was 1,019.
like this Asus Tough Gaming is $1,649, but right above it is an Asus ProArt with all the exact same specs for $1,149.
if you're going to buy a off-brand PC part, do your research on that brand. Like oddly enough, best place to go to do that is Reddit. Go there, look up that specific name of that company, ignore anything that they post.
Yeah.
And read about what other people say about them, because you don't know what you're buying. Now, there are good off brands out there. There are good ones that they're a little bit cheaper, but don't trust everything just because, say, PC Part Picker has it on their list.
Yeah.
Yeah, because not all brands are created equal.
That is true.
It's like I'm not going to buy, I don't know, high top ketchup versus I don't know Heinz. I'm not, it's that same sort of idea. Is why would you buy this when the other one is marginally more? Because the idea of a budget build is to make a working gaming PC that isn't, breaking your bank.
Yeah.
It's not buying the cheapest parts you can find and shoving them together and hope they work and setting your house on fire by buying a, I don't know, off-brand bronze power supply that's like maybe 10 watts over what you needed. Don't do that. That's dumb. You're going to burn your house down or apartment building. But buy the good parts where you need them. You can't cheapen out on a power supply.
Yeah.
You don't have to buy the best thing out there, but you can't go cheap on it because that's the danger.
Yeah.
That's the danger zone.
That fucks up your entire build.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you have a bad GPU, generally going to be just the GPU. Maybe at most it'd be your motherboard.
Don't cheapen out on that. Don't cheapen out on the processor, and don't cheapen out on the motherboard. Yeah. You can go with the previous gen that you can find for cheap of a GPU and be fine until you can afford a better GPU. That should be fine, but don't cheapen out on the processor. That would scare me.
Yeah. The next point I have was I seen MSI Project Zero. So their MSI is, when I seen this to start with, MSI was one of the only ones doing this.
Back to front.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought that's what this was.
Asus is now doing it. I think it's Asus.
I think NZXT also has some.
Yeah, there's several. So what it is all of your pins, your connectors are on the back side of the motherboard, and you have to buy a case. Now, granted, there's a lot more cases that are out now that specifically have holes for those, so therefore you don't have the cables showing on the inside of the case. It's clearly aesthetic.
Like a Be Quiet 900, light base 900.
Oddly plugged.
Oddly plugged. Might be my case. But it is compatible with back-to-front motherboards.
Yeah, which is nice. They look nicer because realistically, the only cable you have showing through is if you care.
If you're decent at cable manage, you can pretty much make all that shit.
Yeah,
up
you
here.
can make it look fine anyway.
Yeah.
Screw cable management.
That's what I'm saying. Shove it in the back, close the box.
Well,
Make it cool and put a bunch of shitty fans in there. Wait for the bearings to go out and replace them bitches for $4. That's how real PC people do it.
I either
A
mistyped
prayer and duct tape.
the next one or just they were talking about it differently before it came out. I put 8000 series.
I think you're talking about the laptop GPUs.
Maybe that's what.
Yes, they probably, some of those do have integrated graphics.
No. This isn't GPU. It's CPUs.
No, CPU, yes.
Yeah.
I'm saying they don't need it. They have integrated graphics on the CPU.
That are strong enough to run
some
considerably.
Some games.
Yeah.
Better
like
than
I seen
integrated.
Fortnite specifically. Like I watched somebody run
all
Fortnite.
right,
it's not demanding.
I would say that's a Fortnite low bar. That's like saying it can run Counter-Strike too.
It can run Stardew Valley.
It can run Doom.
I mean, you know,
Original Doom?
Yeah.
Okay.
you know, this is
course.
really
Not
cool,
Doom Eternal.
and I hope they keep going.
Or it's Quake. I think it's Quake.
But
It's either one.
But almost everybody's had a problem with integrated graphics cards at some point.
Yes.
Well, it's
Nobody asked for this.
well, if
Agreed.
they're handy.
Nobody wanted
in
this.
certain situations where like your graphics card goes down, you can still use your computer
And
to
play.
a degree.
I mean, you can still use your computer to a degree without a graphics card.
Not if your GPU or CPU doesn't have integrated graphics.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm saying,
And that's
it's
why
handy.
a lot
It's
of times I suggest people get an integrated graphics card to begin with.
that's like,
But you don't need to play a game on one that doesn't have a decent graphics
yeah,
card.
Yeah.
That's almost every Intel CPU has integrated graphics on it, unless you get the F version, right? Yeah,
Sure.
I
F
think.
stands for.
I just
fuck
don't know
off.
why they needed.
Yes.
I don't know
fuck
why
off
they needed to
version.
go so far as this without going far enough to make it viable with like top end games. Because if they're not doing that, then
What's
no one's going to buy it for that.
Again, it's for specifically
Because they're expensive.
It's good. It's more efficient, I think, for laptop GPU or a PS or
CPU.
CPUs.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, but the problem is the cooling.
Did you watch the brain cell hit him and
I-
it like bounced back and
I
forth for a
watched the
second?
brain cell hit him and then have a fucking
back
stroke.
and to the left, back.
The problem I would see is like cooling it efficiently
Yeah.
and it actually running games.
Yeah.
It sounds like burn marks on my lap.
Yeah.
Is what it sounds like.
Basically.
Sounds like Mark's setup where he's got a box fan with a with a laptop cooler and then like 3 other things going to make sure that his laptop
'cause
stays cool.
He buys them with like crazy graphics cards in them, and then he overclocks them. And
I don't even. He just gave us a laptop. It's an Alienware. I
Yeah.
don't know what graphics card it has in it. Something massive though,
it's like I think it's 3070. I can't remember.
probably.
Next up, there's AI monitors now that will help you in game. Like they will show certain things in the game. Like when your health bar starts going low, the whole outside of the monitor will flash red.
That seems like something you could just do in a fucking game. Like
Most
a game.
games you can. Yeah.
Why don't you just pay attention to your health?
I mean, I agree, but
Awareness.
That's the thing. We're trying to make everybody dumber through shit like this.
I thought you were saying AM monitors. It's like a
Monitoring
like
the AI.
you missed your shot and it pops up. You missed.
Dumb bitch.
You suck.
That
like you
was
die
actually
in
funny.
like you
Get
die in a
good,
game and it says
bitch.
get good. Yeah.
Get good, bro.
Then next up, I've got
Well,
the peripheral
I was
brands.
gonna say there's something you don't have on here because it just came out. Was the X3D 9000 series?
Yeah. Well, I was going to talk about that after the fact.
Makes no sense.
I have other notes on here
Okay,
that I
sure,
didn't
yeah.
have on here because I never updated.
I was just kind of
You have a
keep it
bullet
with
point
the,
with nothing on it.
Exactly.
yeah,
That's,
trying to keep with the AMD stuff. Yeah, it's good. That 8900. Yeah,
9800.
how much are
X3.
those right now?
I don't know. I got mine for MSRP, bitch. Woke up that morning, bought it before I went to work. Got here a week later.
How much was it MSRP?
480.
Well, that's not bad.
No, that's
That's
It's-
not bad at all.
If you look on
I was
Amazon
expecting
right
like
now,
600.
so
yeah.
the
By the time I got off work, they were over 500 or over $500.
people people scalp them and then put them back on Amazon for $600.
I'm not surprised. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's shitty.
If
But-
you look online on Amazon right now, because I just pulled that up a minute ago, a 7800 X3D is $480
yeah,
on
that's-
Amazon.
That's a little bit less than it was before that. It was
Yeah.
about 495 ish.
Yeah.
Still, very good. That's also a very good processor.
What I've heard is that the 9800 X3D actually outperforms even the higher level 7 series,
Yes,
like the ones that are above the 7800
like the
at all the tasks, not just gaming, just
yeah.
like productivity
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It's outperforming that as well. So it is definitely very,
Yeah, it's very good.
very good. The peripheral brands. So what I'm meaning whenever I'm talking this specifically is like monitors.
Oh,
Because if you,
I
I've been
monitors?
looking for a monitor. Now I have,
peripherals usually means monitor, mouse, keyboard.
I know I have
Gotcha.
mouse and
And
keyboard as a
headset.
second
That's what M&K means. I was trying to figure out what the fuck it meant.
because I only say
Mary
that
Kate
because
and
I've been
Ashley.
looking for a monitor, and there's so many freaking brands now that
Well,
are just
basically, if you've never heard of it, probably not any good.
yeah.
It's probably
Also,
some
if
sort
you've
of-
heard of it too much, it may not be good
Yeah.
either.
It's a shit show.
I
You just got to
yeah.
pick one and hope for the best.
for like what you have best and worst and mediocre. I don't know about worst or mediocre. I just try to stick to like stuff I've heard.
Yeah.
Like Acer, Asus,
It-
Gigabyte,
Acer makes really decent.
Samsung,
I-
LG.
My
LG.
Yeah.
my one that's starting to go out is an Acer.
They're
and
fantastic,
I've had
honestly.
it for almost 10 years, and it's just now starting to have problems.
Yeah.
My go-to usually when it comes to mouse and keyboard is Razer, and then with my headset, I have a Steel Arctis 9, I think.
I have something to say about this.
I don't like my headset anymore. What?
Oh, well, that's about my mouse and keyboard, though.
Yeah.
We can skip to mouse and keyboard.
Okay.
We've pretty well talked about it. Like, find a brand that's a good brand.
Yeah.
Look at your reviews.
Yes.
Go from there.
What's it called? I can't remember what the fuck's the goddamn monitor. The monitor and TV review site, like not Wear Testers. I don't know.
Either way.
Just look up the brand of the monitor, and there's a very reputable like reviewer who does like
Bunch of
score.
it.
Yeah.
Personally, for me, the keyboard doesn't have to be a Razer. I'm not really particular, but my mouse, I do like Razer keyboard.
There's a weird thing with Razer and some other brands, and it has nothing to do with the actual keyboard or the actual device. It has to do with their drivers. They do not agree with all other drivers. Some do, like Razer and SteelSeries. I've never had a problem with that. I have a Razer headset and I have a Razer keyboard and a SteelSeries mouse, and they work fine.
Yeah.
But I did have a Logitech mouse and a Razer headset, and they argued constantly. And like my audio would go out, or the mouse would stop working, or it's like a battle constantly.
I wonder if they're using the same frequency.
Might be.
It's I don't use wireless
Oh,
at
well
all.
then-
I hate having to charge my stuff. I hate it.
I agree with that.
Wired is the way to go for me.
I have
cannot
a
stand it.
Razer keyboard and a Corsair mouse, and
Which-
then just
I get why people like it. Honestly, the freedom of movement and where you get to put it and stuff is very handy. But just for me, it's the aggravation of charge is not the thing. So,
Fair.
but I did when I went to Vegas. I did get to go to the Razer store. They have one in Vegas, and it was really neat. They had a lot of really cool stuff. I'm really impressed, and I've had Razer mice before. I've had Razer keyboards, headsets. I've never disliked anything that they did. Their drivers are slightly invasive at times, but they work really well. So,
But one thing is fucking Synapse.
Synapse is annoying.
It is
Yeah.
annoying as fuck.
But it works really well.
It does. It's annoying.
It is annoying because it's always like, hey, do you want to do this thing? I'm like,
Right.
no,
Fuck
I don't.
off.
No, go away.
I've had issues with their software where like every time it updates, I lose all my settings. I got to go in and fix them.
I don't use it anymore because I don't use Razer stuff anymore. So I don't. Yeah.
Do you unplug them and plug them back in often?
No. They are never unplugged.
Because I've noticed that happening with my headset. Now, if I've been unplugging it and plugging it back in all the time, it tends to lose its settings sometimes. And I
Yeah.
have to go
Unless
back
I
in
am
and fix
moving
it.
my computer,
Do you ever save your presets? And you've lost those?
I haven't lost the presets, but
You have to
having go in,
reactivate the-
yes,
Oh,
Yeah.
have to reactivate.
so
the
you don't have to
presets.
change all the settings.
No,
It just-
not
It just
entirely.
sets back to default.
Yeah, it's just a re-enable settings that he had enabled before.
Wow, I mean, just boo-hoo on that. But
Yeah,
It's not a big problem. It's just
no,
annoying.
It's annoying.
It is kind of annoying. Yeah.
which it hasn't happened in the last few updates I've had, but before I moved
What-
into the
they
office,
do have an
it did.
interesting-
What might be happening is it's updating something in those settings.
Yeah.
And so it sets it back to default to just like avoid mishaps with that.
Conflicts.
Yeah,
and-
conflicts.
I'm going to build a keyboard
Yeah,
eventually.
I was gonna say, getting to me, I don't use any brand name keyboards. I built my own, and it's amazing.
What do you use for a mouse?
I use a Logitech G03 Lightspeed, 035 Lightspeed. Works great. I leave it plugged in though most of the time because, like Ethan said, having
Wireless
a charge,
sucks. Yeah.
it does. It's a great fucking mouse. It just feels good in the hand.
What is it?
A Logitech 305G.
The
or Lightspeed.
Logitech mice are fantastic.
It's so good.
Well, the problem is their headset drivers are garbage.
Yeah.
That's why I have Audio Technica headphones.
Which
that
that
just
works
have-
fine with Logitech. So, yeah, and they have great sound. But if you're going to go with an entire brand, my suggestion would be Razer because it's easy. They're easy to set up usually. They usually don't have any conflicts with themselves ever. Usually. But that's any brand. But if you're going to split up, like Logitech, mice, keyboards, they're great. And Audio Technica is obviously one of the top of the line for audio.
Yeah.
I guess like really it's like them and like Sennheiser.
Yeah.
What sort of microphone do you use?
I have a
Because you always sound really clear on Discord.
So I have an Elgato Wave DX. It is an XLR microphone. I was between the Rode Pod mic that we use for the podcast and that.
And do you have a little soundboard for it?
So it has
DAC.
Elgato has a thing with it.
Oh, okay.
They have one that they make. It's called the Wave.
Yeah.
That's what I use. It's the Wave XLR dock. And that's actually what I connect my monitor through. What it allows me to do is I can go in and Elgato has their own software that I can attach each sound to, and then I can change them. So that's how I do my OBS. Whenever we record that's why the game was really quiet, because I had it turned down too much because I lose my settings on there sometimes too. But as I can like turn up my volume to where I can hear it. It has mix minus. So I can turn up to where I can hear the game louder, but it doesn't go too much out, because what happens a lot of times is you have the game, which is so loud, and then you can't hear us talking or vice versa. And it's very hard to edit that whenever you're editing, because it wants to edit everything together.
Yeah.
So if I turn it up, it's going to turn us and the game up, and then the game's too loud.
Well, I mean, and that's something to say is if you're going to go ham on your PC, like audio quality through a headset is not always great just through a USB. No.
Yeah.
Mine's fine. Razer does a pretty good job of mimicking good sound quality through a just a regular port.
Yeah.
But most of them don't.
Yeah.
And then the microphone quality always kind of is degraded quite a bit through those.
I have
Like, how do I sound on Discord?
You sound like you're using a headset.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
everybody knows what that sounds like.
Yeah.
If
So
you've
it's just like
on a
whatever.
headset, you can hear them, but it's not great.
Before the cats broke it, I had a Razer Siren that did a really, really good job. It was a really clear microphone as well.
Yeah.
Using
I
the
need
old
to-
blue Yeti blue snowball.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is perfectly fine.
I mean, those are.
I listened to the video. It's a little grainy, but that might be a setting. Thing.
But I mean, for a
Eventually.
relatively cheap microphone, I
I
mean,
don't remember. It's like $100 back. I think when we bought
It was 50.
they're not
50.
bad.
I
It
don't
was,
remember.
it was 50.
That was about 13 years ago.
Yeah, it was about 50 because the reason I bought the Wave DX over the Pod mic was the Wave was on sale for 70 versus the Pod mic, which is 100.
Yeah. So I think eventually I will probably get like an XLR
XLR.
mic just to get a better sound.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think mine sounds clear. The little bit that I've listened back to things, because like I've put in for a few different voice acting roles of just doing that, and that's why realistically I got it was I wanted to do that, and I think it's very clear. I like it personally. So we've already talked about monitors and mouse keyboard. I'm going to talk about these last
2 points on there later.
to later because I'm going to skip to the other stuff. What I had was stuff that I basically seen on TikTok that caught my interest
Sure.
and was like, "Ooh, we should talk about that." Leanne Lee has some LCD fans now.
Yeah, the hologram looking fans. Yeah.
Yeah, you
The
just
holo
connect them and you can put any image you want on each particular fan. I've seen a lot of people use those for their monitoring
Yeah,
because they have it on their desk, and so they essentially have it show up as like top one CPU, middle one is CPU usage, RAM cooling, whatever it is, and the bottom one's GPU cooling, and it's just I feel like that's handy and it's
It is
very
handy.
neat. I've
Also-
also seen weebs just put anime women on it,
Yeah, anime titties.
basically. The Height Y70. I don't know if you know what this. It's a computer case, and it had a 4K monitor all down the middle. It was a 4K touchscreen monitor.
I feel like yeah.
You have probably seen it.
That sounds familiar.
They no longer have a 4K version. They have dropped it to, I believe, 1080 because they just could not make enough.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they had to drop the quality of it. It's still touchscreen, I believe. Most people use it for monitoring. Some people use it for.
How big was the monitor?
It was the entire size of the case.
Oh, the entire side panel.
Yeah, but not the entire side panel. So it was like
That long and then like
it was like
thin?
that long and like probably
Yeah, you don't need a fucking 4K monitor for that.
Yeah.
Like that was stupid of them. They could have got away with having it be 1080 and charged the same amount they did for the 4K, and everybody like, yeah, cool, fuck yeah.
basically what they're doing now. NVIDIA updated their app. I had it wrote down as NVIDIA is updating their app. It's in beta to update it.
Oh.
It is updated now.
Uh-huh.
It is much more handy. Everything is in one place. You no longer have to go to GeForce settings or control panel.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
If you look at yours is probably there.
Yeah, it probably was.
It probably like installed right.
Yes.
But yeah, used to like change your monitor refresh rate and everything like that, you had to go into a different, like there's a control settings panel that you can change it in, and then there's NVIDIA that has the download. It all
You mean like the control panel for your
like
computer?
NVIDIA can no.
Oh.
NVIDIA had its own like NVIDIA control panel or
Why
something
would you do that? Makes no sense. To change refresh rate,
to change refresh rate,
That
to
isn't- 'cause you
adjust certain things, like turn on G-Sync.
sure. But to adjust your frame rate, you can just do that in control.
You can, but
It's very way easier. It's like click refresh rate, whatever you want it to be.
And
Well, that's
NVIDIA
basically
does
what it
have
is on
Yeah.
They do have a dashboard that can do all that stuff.
That's
yeah.
what I'm talking about. Is now you have the dashboard.
Yeah.
It's all combined into your NVIDIA.
It actually
app.
just does the same thing the monitor does.
Yeah.
It just changes the monitor.
Yeah.
So
I guess it's handy if it's all one there, but I just turned it on and was like, yep, set it and forget it.
which some like I don't know if
Ronco
NVIDIA has
rotisserie
it,
oven.
but it's on either Razer Synapse or Cortex. They have a thing called Game Boost that actually does something. It mutes some background programs so they don't run.
That's handy. Could be.
They
handy.
actually work. I was surprised. I was like, that sounds like a gimmick.
Yeah. Corsair has made an SSD water block so that you can now add water cooling to your NVMe.
Yeah,
I said I put SSD, but it's
Well,
NVMe.
you're not wrong. It is a solid state storage drive. Just everybody calls it.
So the trick with that is the larger the NVMe, the hotter it runs.
Yeah, the newer Gen.
The newer gens,
Gen 5 drives run hot as fuck.
Yeah, they do. So if you can, don't go with the new gen. Go with the old gen.
It's fine. If you,
like
you
a
just
2
have
terabyte.
You just have to have a motherboard that has like some sort of heat sink on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like
but if you don't want to mess with that,
Not just
you don't
open.
have to.
Generally, that only happens on your super cheap motherboard. So it's like, why would you buy a Gen 5 drive?
Yeah.
when it's cheap
for a
motherboard.
cheap motherboard.
It's like, don't do that.
What I'm saying is you
Yeah.
don't have to.
You don't have to, no.
Because the old ones work basically just as good.
It's
I mean, the margin is less than 1%, probably.
no, it's even less than that. It's unnoticeable
Right.
to the human eye, the speed difference.
Yeah.
It's just
Now, the speed difference between that and the regular SSD is light years, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
even that's like barely noticeable.
No, it is. No, it's totally noticeable. I'm like 2 weeks before I helped Sean build his computer, I helped someone else set up their computer, and we set it up with an SSD. I went over to Sean's where we had talked about getting an NVMe for him, and it literally took like 5 or 6 times as long to do anything. Yeah. And I was like, God, this is so slow or fast in comparison, because I had just done the one with the regular SSD, and then I did the one with the NVMe, and it is significantly different.
Yeah. I think it's MSI. I don't know because the way I wrote it down. I think they made a RAM water block.
I mean,
I put RAM water block MSI.
Okay, why?
That was my question as well.
I mean, I understand why, but what is the point at which you've got your computer where you're doing that, where you're needing that? If you are literally streaming so much that you're using that amount of RAM along with some crazy new game like Space Marine, right?
Yeah.
Where you're using all like 32 of your RAM, right? And it's heating up.
Get more RAM.
No, set up a different computer
Oh yeah.
to stream with that'll literally take the information from your other computer that's actually running the game, and then run it that way.
Yeah. And then one of my last little notes that I have in here is this comes with the 9000 series being released, is that AM5 is going to be supported through 2027
Yes.
now, which is beneficial.
so we'll get one more generation,
Yeah.
which is good. So I don't know what it'll be called. Is it gonna be 10,000? Is it gonna be 11,000?
Who knows?
You know what? Maybe they'll pull a fucking Intel and just change the whole fucking naming scheme and be like, who gives a shit? What does it matter? Our CPUs suck.
So one of the following 2 points: settings that you need to fix after building a new PC. Basically, you need to turn off all the bloatware. That's the biggest one.
Yeah, if you can, just there's a lot of guides out there to install Windows without bloatware.
Yeah.
Probably follow one of those just to save yourself some
I had to go
headaches.
in and like turn it all
easy.
off.
Yeah.
It's easy. Buy Windows Server.
I had to actually go in and turn all those off because of everything going on. Because I updated, and so it like just automatically turned it all on.
Turns it all back
Because I
on.
went from Windows 10 to Windows 11.
Yeah.
Because I come to find out, the reason I couldn't update was because I hadn't updated my BIOS since 2018.
But that'll fucking do it.
Because I
BIOS
was
is
sitting
out
there,
of date.
like it kept telling me that I couldn't do it, and I was like, "Why can't I do it? This shit looks like it's good enough." And
It's a lot of issues come up when you don't.
yeah,
Yeah.
And then there was one day I was like, "I'm just gonna try to update my BIOS and see what happens." And I updated my BIOS, and it was like as soon as it popped back up, it was like, "Hey, fucker, you can update to Windows 11. You want to?"
Also important, I think it's October of next year. Windows 10 is not going to be Windows 10 Defender will not be supported anymore. So it's just
Like period.
yes.
So Windows 11
No, Windows
or
11 's
Windows
good.
10
Yes,
Defender. Never
yes.
mind. Yeah.
So upgrade before then, or else you could be possibly vulnerable to security threats.
So
I
the
wonder
time
if
to
that's
update
why
is
my laptop
now.
didn't
Now.
update.
yeah, I just did mine last week.
I was just saying, I wonder if my laptop, if that's why it won't go to Windows 11 too, because I haven't updated my BIOS.
It's possible.
Maybe.
it's definitely possible.
Yeah, very possible.
And then the last one that I have is, should you only build a 3K max PC for gaming? So now this is questionable because prices change so much.
Sure.
What kind of where I was getting with that is I could build a 3K rig with a 4080 Super.
Sure. Yeah.
Versus close to 5,000 for
it'd be about 4,500
for a 4090.
Yeah.
And so that's a big fucking difference.
It is a big difference.
Like,
Well, with the what do you mean here? 3K max.
should you
$3,000.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. I just figured that was part of the problem. He's like, he worded it weird. Should you only spend $3,000? Is that like the upper limit?
Is that what you should limit yourself
Is that
to?
the upper reasonable limit? Or,
3,000 is reasonable for an upper limit.
yeah, the upper limit. Like anything past that, you're kind of just like throwing money at the wall. Like
Yes.
you're not getting performance.
That's kind of
significance performance.
You could still build an extremely decent one for like
Yes.
Oh, you could.
$1,100.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is just like as in terms of like how much is too much.
When do you start just pissing away money?
Around the $3,000 mark, maybe not be exactly 3,000, but it's around there.
Yeah.
I would say 2,000 because I know that you can get it, like you said, you can get a decent.
I would say
computer for-
2,500, 2,000. I mean, it just doesn't compute because the parts go in and out so quickly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what you can do instead of just redoing your PC every 3 years, just rebuilding a whole new PC, is just update the freaking parts.
6.
Yeah.
Well, I know. But
That's
you
my
know what I mean.
I know.
That's what people do.
That's where my problem is that I'm now screwed by the technology that I have
Yeah,
that I just
that's
might
the
as well
problem.
rebuild
And
a
stop
whole new
treating your parts like crap.
one. Yeah.
The problem is, Ethan, a lot of people don't have like the forethought to like upgrade a path and ability. So they kind of lock themselves like in an ecosystem like Tyler has.
It's super simple. You buy
Well, that's
the
because I didn't
most-
have any other choice at the time.
You
I'm
buy-
not saying you're wrong. I'm saying you're locked in that you can't.
Yeah.
If you update one thing, you have to update a lot of other shit.
the two things you have to do in order to do that.
yeah.
The only two things you have to do is buy one of the latest motherboards and one of the latest processors.
Yeah.
And then you can do anything you want for the next 5-6 years.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Because all of them are going to work backwards.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah.
But the old parts aren't going to work forwards all the time because they're not going to fit or they're
Or
not
support it or whatever.
support. Right. So
I would add like PSU. Like think about like
you can always change out a PSU.
yeah, but have and so you don't have to replace it every time.
Right.
And give yourself some wiggle
Yeah.
room.
Give
If you
yourself
buy
a lot
a-
of wiggle room.
Yeah.
If you
because-
buy a 1,500 watt PSU now, you're going to be
Sure.
covered for
A long time.
long
hopefully.
time.
Also, if you're not overtaxing your PSU
Yes.
by using it towards its upper limit,
Yes.
I mean, you're going to make it last a lot longer
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're exercising it, but you're not over exercising
Yeah.
it. So, yeah, that would be a good one. But I mean, that was kind of a given anyway because it's what
Yeah.
I usually do.
Yeah.
is-
I'm saying in terms of like having some forethought into like building a PC with upgrades in mind.
You're going to save yourself a lot of money come 4 or 5 years later.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of people don't think of it that way. They think of it as this is what I can afford now. That's what I'm going to buy now.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately where they're falling.
Because a lot of what people like to change out is their GPU because they think, my games aren't running correctly, so I'm going to replace my GPU.
And that can fix a lot of problems.
And it can fix a lot of problems in the short term.
Yeah.
But it's like whenever NVMe started coming out and being really big, and everyone was using SSDs all the time. What people started doing was they started slamming NVMe's into their old motherboards.
Yeah.
And they were not getting any faster because the old NVMe slots weren't really that great.
Yeah, they were like Gen 3 slots
Yeah.
instead of Gen 4.
Yeah, and it wasn't doing anything different than the old
It's like
SSDs were.
Sir, that's the same speed.
Yeah, so if they had bought a new motherboard and a new processor, they'd have been fine.
Yeah.
Or the other thing is whenever a new GPU comes out, so people will buy the GPU and slam it into their old computer,
Yep.
and then they gate their whole fucking system by having this super powerful GPU that the processor can't keep
your
up
CPU
with.
bottlenecked because
Yeah.
your CPU can't keep up with your GPU.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, if you have it in mind that you're going to get a really good processor and a really good motherboard, you're set for quite a long time because as long as you're treating your processor properly and making sure it's cooled, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Should be.
Should be.
Oh,
For a while.
and replace your like
Thermal paste.
your thermal paste. Redo your thermal paste.
I got to do that.
It's been way too long since I did that. I'm giving that advice. Do what I say. Do not what I do.
Yeah. It's been a year or two since I've done mine. I know that much.
You just wash it off with water, right?
You just take the hose.
Yep.
Take it
Oh.
outside, spray it off.
Totally. Do that.
Somebody will take that as real advice.
Don't
Use
do
the
that.
whole tube.
Don't do that either. Don't put it under the processor in the socket.
Squeeze it out like a tube of toothpaste.
I was
You
trying
cut
to
a
help.
hole in your liquid cooler line and
To be
spray
fair,
it in.
like,
And
if
then
you
put
buy
electrical
Get the
tape
refill
over
with
thermal
a
paste,
syringe.
most of them don't have that much thermal. It's like maybe 2 applications, maybe a new tube of thermal paste. They don't fill them up that much. They have
Kind
like
of depends
That's not
on
much.
how you do it. If you do the X method, that uses a little bit more. Some people just do the dot. You can
Yeah.
probably get like 3 or 4 out of a dot.
maybe. Yeah, I do like
The dot's enough. You just need to make sure you go
Yeah.
a little bit of wiggle and
mean,
then push it down.
To be honest, the most optimal way, put it on there. Use a spatula or some
Yeah,
sort of spreader.
spread
Well,
it.
they
spread it
come with
out.
a spatula
Yeah.
half the time.
Spread it out.
They do
but
now.
Who fucking
They
does
used
that?
to not.
It's
too.
not like one of those offset like cake.
Yeah, it was like, bitch, I'm not
spatulas.
frosting a cake. Smush. Force spreads it out.
You know, it does work though.
It does work.
It works just fine. The dot method works just fine.
I'm a fan of the X personally.
I did like a lot.
Some
like
of it comes out the edge.
I did like a cross.
I do like inside the corners though a little bit. Like I don't do like full corner to
No,
corner.
no, but still, it's really not going to hurt it that much.
No.
If
Yeah.
it does come out a little bit anyway.
Get a little over squeeze.
Yeah. Ooh.
He
I don't-
only
I don't
needs
like
four-
that.
Less than 4 minutes
Less than
anyways.
4 minutes.
Oh, I need 4 minutes for the squeeze. All right. Well, have we got anything else we need to talk
seconds.
about with computers?
Um,
Build it now. Build it quick.
yeah.
Do it now.
It's a good time.
It is a good
It's a good time to do it.
It's not perfect,
No.
but it's probably the best time
To
you're
be
gonna
honest,
have.
there hasn't been a perfect time for about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
There's
But,
always some
I mean,
bullshit coming up.
That is true.
It's a good time for price wise for the
Yeah.
GPUs because we're in the middle of a between releases.
Yeah, well, yeah, one's getting ready to come out.
Yeah.
So this is
But the 4,000s are going to be at decent price ranges.
Yeah.
The 3s are going to be coming up.
because they're already probably coming up
They're already coming up.
because they're not in production.
And the 5,000s aren't quite out yet.
Yeah.
So the 4,000s are, if you were going to pick one up, now's probably the best time.
4060 or 4070.
Do not buy a 4060.
You could.
Do not buy a 4060.
I mean,
What a
realistically-
waste of money.
Yeah, just buy a 4070.
Yeah, you're probably
It's
right.
really not that much more to buy a 4070, and it's a
$100.
billion times better.
That's true.
A billion.
It's
That's
a
a lot.
billion. I did the math. It's a billion times better.
I did it just now. A
Oh,
billion.
it smells like cabbage in here.
Oh.
Can't help you.
She farted.
God.
All right. Well, since that's finished, since we're finished, go ahead and use the link in the description. And Ethan said he will jump on Discord, and
You're not finished. You're finished.
I'm finished.
He's done.
I'm beyond finished.
It's been more than 4
I'm
months.
gonna
It's
jump
been
on.
Way more than
58
4
minutes. I've been finished for 54.
And realistically, he only needed about 30 seconds and 4 minutes.
4
I
seconds.
get a good
What,
minute in.
what am I gonna do on Discord?
I don't know.
Build
He-
PCs for people.
I was like, he didn't finish that
We'll
thought.
put together parts lists all day long. I love that.
I think we all would like. We'd all like.
Yeah, I think
give
we'd
some
all jump in and
commentary.
be like, hey. So appreciate you guys listening. We will catch you on the next one.
Goodbye.
need
Enjoy
to
that
go
it's
poop or something.
non-visual.